Hello and welcome back. Today we're reacting to another episode of Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. Today we have the disease that is deadlier than the plague, the White Death. The White Death. The White Death. What was the White Death? Was that, or is, I guess. Is that tuberculosis? I can't say that word. Tuberculosis? Or is that... No, that's... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. I am at least 10% sure that that's right. Well, we'll find out. Let's dive right in.
Steve here. Today, I'm moving over as the voice of Kurzgesagt for something really special. Our dearest friend John Green would like to tell you a story
John Green,
that's very close to
from
his heart.
SciShow.
So, let's hear it from him directly.
Oh, if it's John Green, it's
Hey, Steve.
definitely tuberculosis.
Thanks so much. Let's dive right in. The White Death has haunted humanity like no other disease, following us for thousands,
I love John Green.
maybe millions of
Him and his
years.
shows,
It was there
SciShow
when
and all
we
that,
tamed fire,
amazing.
Invented culture, and ventured out of Africa to conquer the world. In 1815, it caused 1 in 4 deaths in Britain. In the last 200 years, it killed
Literally 1 in
1
4?
billion people. Way more than all wars and natural disasters combined. Even
Wait a
today,
minute,
it's
what?
the infectious disease with the highest kill count. But do you even know what we are talking about? We're talking about Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
I knew it!
Which causes
Oh my god, I knew it!
tuberculosis, or TB.
I'm
our
amazing.
Original arch enemy. Right now, 1 in 4 humans
Settle down.
alive are infected with the bacterium.
This isn't a
You
time
may
for
be one of
celebrating.
them. So, how is it possible that we never
Wait a
hear
minute.
about TB? Well, the White Death
Did that
is
just
the
say...
perfect...
Hold on.
How is it possible infected with the bacteria? Right now, 1 in 4 humans alive are infected with the bacterium. You may be one of them.
Wait,
So
what?
How is it possible that we never
1 in
hear
4?
about TB?
Today?
Well, the White Death is the perfect human predator. Very infectious, but very quiet most of the time.
I don't know much
Careful
about it.
not to murder recklessly.
The only reason that I know about this at all is because I do watch SciShow. I follow what's their like podcast thing called where the two Green brothers go back and forth. I follow that. I absolutely love this guy and everything that they do. So I watch that content, and they've talked about tuberculosis quite a bit. I'm just going to call it TB from now on because I have a really hard time saying that word. I don't know why. My mouth just doesn't form it right because I'm not smart. But that's why I know about this, and I know that it's a cause near and dear to him. But I don't really know much about it other than that. I thought that it was more of like a third world problem and not a problem for more modern countries with modern medicine. But if it's impacting 1 in 4 people, I must have been wrong in that assessment. So I can't wait to learn more about this.
Perfectly adapted to your immune system and just physically incredibly hard to kill. What exactly makes it so powerful? The perfect human predator. Usually, the bacterium enters your body through the airways and sets up home in the lungs, a giant living cave system defended by billions of macrophages, powerful guard cells that hunt and kill intruders. The TB bug
And your
is
lungs are
quickly
horrible
attacked and
for
devoured
infections.
alive. Unfortunately, this is
Good
its plan.
for the infection,
The
bad
White
for
Death
you.
is the worst kind of parasite, an immune system parasite. Macrophages grab their victims, trap them inside a phagosome, and flood it with acid that rips them to pieces.
Yeah,
But
we learned
TB
about that.
evolved a thick, waxy coat that makes it completely immune to those acids.
Oh, of
Worse,
course.
It captures and modifies the macrophage to be a perfect host. Like a tiny vampire, the parasite slowly consumes the cell. TB then
So it just
replicates
hijacks it.
extremely slowly. Other microbes that make you sick multiply up to 60 times faster, exploding their numbers before the immune system can eradicate them. But the White Death is so well adapted to you, it has already won by being here.
So it's
No need
like
to rush things.
going slow
When
to
its
not
host
set
cells
off any
suck dry
alarms,
and
basically.
dies, the bacteria infect new macrophages, Although these bacteria are stealthy,
Simplifying
the
a lot.
corpses they leave
I'm sure.
behind do activate a proper immune response. Your body knows something is up and mobilizes its forces. But once again, this is
In come
part
the
of
troops.
plan. Macrophages and many other immune cells try to kill the bacteria, but that thick cell wall makes them a formidable fortress and resistant to many attacks, and it infects its attackers in the process. So when your cells can't kill them, they do the next best thing, keep the parasites from escaping. A granuloma is formed, a sort of white blob. In the center is a core of infected and dead macrophages, a pleasant home and food for the bacterium. Other immune cells surround this sphere of death to contain it, creating a safe space where
So it basically sounds like, from what they've said so far, that TB is basically adapted almost specifically, it seems, to counter the natural defenses of our immune system. That's crazy.
TB can sit for years. Worse, it is perfectly protected from medication and releases chemicals that make it hard for your heavy immune weapons to be activated. This is the stalemate version of tuberculosis. The infection is sleeping and the bacteria is doing its thing. This is going on right now in up to 2 billion people. But in 1 in 10 of them, the disease will become active. Active tuberculosis is an emergency. But
so
again,
the inactive one's not
if your immune system
deadly.
Can't contain the infection anymore, granulomas burst. Suddenly, your lungs are filled with macrophage corpses and fresh bacteria. Your immune system panics and overreacts.
That doesn't sound good.
Soldiers leave your blood and rush to the infected areas. They order inflammation and fluids flood into your lungs, but unfortunately,
not a
your
great
lungs
place
are
to
not
have fluid.
made to be a battlefield. In their panic, your immune cells don't care. They're running around with flamethrowers trying to purge the infection, but causing terrible
Hasta la vista, baby.
As fluids and dead tissue amass, it becomes difficult to breathe.
Remind me
and
to
you
never
begin
do that
coughing
again.
hard, sometimes even coughing up blood. And again, this is part of the plan, because now you spread millions of bacteria catching rides in tiny droplets. You burn a high fever and lose weight as your body is severely stressed. You turn into a ghost version of yourself. Even if you are treated, this phase can last weeks to months and is very serious. Insufficiently treated, TB will over months, years, or even decades slowly overtake your body. Especially for children or those already weakened, this can be
death.
Too much, and the disease wins the war. The bacterium spreads to other organs, lung function breaks down, and the patient dies. 1.3 million people died this way in 2023 alone. The worst kind of problem. Tuberculosis is the worst kind of problem. A slow one. Instead of killing millions quickly, like COVID, scaring a panicked humanity into frantic action, TB
That's a really
is a
good point.
smoldering fire, killing too slowly for our short attention span.
That's a really good point. We don't care about things that aren't in our face right now. I mean, look at global warming, right? It's going to be a really bad thing, but because it's not happening fast in our face right now, we're not, having catastrophic impacts yet. We ignore it. Profit is worth it, it's whatever. Yeah, in a couple generations, that probably won't be the mindset. But right now, that is when we have the chance to stop it. And we know that, too. Well, most of us know that. Don't get me started. But that is a very good point. We have crazy short attention spans. So if it's a long, drawn-out thing, we lose interest.
The symptoms are often mild for many months, so you don't feel in danger. Tuberculosis doesn't want to kill you, of course. It wants to stay alive and spread.
Yep.
And to do this, it exploits human behavior. The people you are most likely to infect are your family and friends, coworkers, or neighbors, the people you spend a lot of time with. When COVID brought the world to a halt, the average patient infected 2 to 3 people. An active TB patient infects 5 to 15 people in a year.
per
Most
year.
people catch it via breathing tiny droplets from a cough or sneeze. This is especially common in crowded, poorly ventilated housing or workplaces, which is why TB exploded during the Industrial Revolution. And indeed, wherever we see new, unplanned, and overcrowded urbanization, from
5 to
Lagos
15
to
per
Petersburg,
year.
we tend to see a rise
Not
of the
total,
White Death
per year.
alongside it. Today, most cases of active tuberculosis, the version that spreads the disease further, can be cured with a 4-month regimen of 4 different antibiotics. But if that's the case,
so
how is this still the deadliest infectious disease on Earth? Between 1940 and 1965,
that's a really good question,
humans developed several drugs to fight TB, finally making it curable. It was a true achievement of human ingenuity, but we didn't do a great job of distributing the cure. While tuberculosis is almost extinct in much of Europe, the US, and the Middle East, it is still a very real threat in most of the world. TB kills people primarily in Africa.
So that makes sense with kind of what I thought about how it was more of a problem in third world countries. It's not a difference in conditions or anything like that. It's access to medicine. It's something that we've basically solved the problem, but I'm guessing that they're about to tell us that greed is what's preventing that from actually being distributed to save lives, because the drug companies got to make all the money, and making all the money doesn't come from helping poor countries out. Doesn't come from making your drug cheap and accessible. That's not how you make billions of dollars per year for your board members and shareholders. Nope, that's not how you make money. So screw those guys is basically what happens. I'm assuming, but I'm probably right.
South America, and Asia. In
Greed is just
2/3 of all TB cases were in
the
just
Achilles
6
heel of
countries:
humanity.
India, China, Indonesia, the Philippines, Pakistan, and Nigeria.
That's crazy.
Almost half of all tuberculosis deaths happened in Southeast Asia.
Wow.
But as it is a slow problem like climate change, it was ignored instead of fought aggressively, which enabled more and more.
That's the same example I used. I feel very validated right now.
strains of TB to develop antibiotic resistance, which is a problem.
That's a bad thing.
We kind of stopped making new drugs. In the first 25 years of the antibiotic era, we developed 8 different classes of drugs to treat TB.
Okay,
And then, in the 47 years between 1965 and 2012, we developed none.
Is that... But why, right? Why is that the case? That's the case because I'm pretty sure that he's about to tell us right now, developing drugs is very expensive. And you need to make a lot of money to offset that. So is it worth it? Is it worth it? Will you make those billions of dollars that your shareholders demand? That's all that matters to them.
Developing new drugs is extremely expensive, and there was no concentrated effort to eradicate TB, and there simply wasn't enough profit incentive. There is a...
Yeah, and like I was just saying, greed absolutely is the biggest problem here. There's no excuse, based on what we've heard so far, there's no excuse that we haven't eradicated this disease. The fact that we've only ever eradicated one disease ever, that I know of anyway, and that was oh my god. I don't remember what it was now, but we've only eradicated one disease that I know of. That should be a much higher number. There's really no reason for it. The only thing that's holding us back is people's greed. They want to make money. If there's not money in it, they're not interested. They're not interested in saving lives. They're not interested in eradicating disease and improving the quality of life of millions of people around the globe. They couldn't care less about that. They have to make a high profit. And that's just really sad.
A vaccine, but it's over 100 years old and not particularly effective. But beginning in 2012, we did finally develop 2 new classes of drugs that treat TB. And we may finally be at an inflection point again as better vaccines
could eradicate
are on the horizon.
Let's go.
Companies that made COVID tests also developed a quick test for TB.
Oh.
So we now have a real opportunity to push this disease back until it dies forever.
Yes.
But only if we get enough people to know about TB.
Think about how big of an accomplishment that would be just from a pure scientific and socioeconomic standpoint. Just think about that for a second. This infectious disease that's been around basically since the dawn of humanity. They said at the beginning, right, it was around when we discovered fire. And it's been haunting us, responsible for a quarter of all deaths. Insane, right? Infectious disease deaths, I should say. It's insane. Absolutely insane. If we could do that. Let's do it.
You do now, and to care about it. A century ago in the United States, there were almost as many hospital beds for TB patients as for treating all other illnesses and hospital about it. A century ago in the United States, there were almost as many hospital beds for TB patients as for treating all other illnesses and injuries combined.
That's
the White
insane.
Death was a leading cause of death in the U.S., and then one day, it just wasn't anymore.
Because we
can
took care
do
of
this
it.
Again.
For ourselves, where the money is.
People died of tuberculosis yesterday. And we simply don't have to accept a world where so many of us still die of a disease we know how to cure.
Yeah.
The White Death has been with us for millions of years. It is time to continue our journey without it.
Okay, what's the call to action here? How do we help? How do I help?
If you want to learn more about tuberculosis and the folks working to fight it through clinical trials and care
figured
delivery,
there'd be a
and also
call to
learn
action.
how you can help, check out the organization Partners in Health at pih.org/programs/tuberculosis. We've put a link in the description for you. Also,
go visit right now. Stop this video. You can come back if you want to hear my closing thoughts, but stop this video. Go to that link. Go there. And see what you can do to help. You. Do it.
If this wasn't enough TB for you, there's a crash course lecture on the history and presence of tuberculosis. We'll include a link to that as well.
We may have to react to that one as well.
Nope. This isn't Vlog Brothers. Soon.
That's what it's called. Vlog Brothers. Yes, that's their vlog. Awesome. This was a great video. I absolutely love Kurzgesagt. They're very inspirational, what they do, sharing all this knowledge, getting it out there for everyone. But also the Green Brothers and what they do with all of their shows and everything, trying to make education very easily accessible, cheap and free, depending on the methodology, right? Absolutely. I adore that, because in this world, knowledge is power. Absolutely. And there's so much misinformation going around about everything these days, that to have sources that we know are credible and we can learn from them, it's just, and it's free, right? You can go watch these videos for free. That's just so amazing. Anyway, check out that link. I'm going to check it out after this. Check it out. See what we can do to help. Let's get rid of this. You know, to you, it might be $5 or $10 or whatever you're missing that you can afford to spare if you are fortunate enough to be able to donate towards the cause, which I'm assuming is the call to action. But for many someones, that could be the difference between waking up tomorrow or not. That could be the difference of generations down the road surviving or coming into existence and not existing because their ancestor who is alive today never made it that far because they died from this disease. The impact is absolutely profound, and it's something that we can take care of. Let's take care of it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you have yourself a very wonderful day. Take care.